Spring is coming, and that means fresh asparagus for some gardeners. Plus, what should I put in spots wiped clean by the ice and snow?
Welcome to the Gardenangelist, where we talk about flowers, veggies, and all the best dirt. I'm Carol Michael from Indianapolis, Indiana, where I have a suburban garden measured in square feet.
And I'm Dee Nash from Guthrie, Oklahoma, where I garden on several acres out in the country.
We call ourselves Gardenangelists because we are evangelists for gardening. We love gardening and we want others to love it too.
Yes, we do. And we aren't afraid to spill the beans and tell all of our gardening secrets, the good, the bad, and even the ugly. But that's enough of who, what, when, where. Let's move on to this week's episode. Good morning, Carol.
Hello, Dee.
Yeah, what are you up to in the garden today? I'm great.
Okay, Dee, my seeds are organized, spreadsheet printed, ready to go. I have 5 flats of violas potted up. I cut back all the hellebore foliage yesterday. My houseplants are all watered. The crocuses are blooming. The snowdrops are blooming. The little irises are blooming. And I went back to the greenhouse this morning and got flats of pansies to go with my violas.
I was going to say, you bought violas and now you got pansies because they were ready.
Yes.
And you're planting those.
Yep.
And my crocuses are also blooming, the ones I have. And I don't have snowdrops because I can't grow them. But my little iris reticulatas are so cute.
They are the cutest thing. Very lovely.
And I cut back all the foliage on my hellebores. I was a little bit behind, except in the front beds. I've got to go cut those. And I'm not sure when I'm going to do it. You wanted to give a shout out to All American Selections.
Yes, I did, because they sent you and I and many garden communicators packets of seeds to try that are some of their selections that have been either regional winners or national winners in the last several years. So shout out to them. They are a great resource of information. We're going to put a link in the show notes to All American Selections. And I got a bunch of new seeds to try, including one. I'm so excited, Dee.
What?
It's a bush watermelon.
You know, that would be awesome because I hate the fact that you have to grow those giant vines. I didn't get that. They must not have sent that to me because they know I can't grow watermelon.
We should say you can grow watermelon in Oklahoma. Dee cannot grow watermelon.
I can't grow it personally. A lot of people grow it really well. In fact, we have a giant watermelon festival in Rush Springs every year. I just personally can't grow it worth a darn.
Dee, my big idea, I'm going to grow those. I'm going to grow that watermelon. I think I'm going to grow it in my biggest smart pot, the fabric pots.
Yes, the fabric pots I grew a bunch of my tomatoes in last year.
I'm going to try to grow that bush watermelon in there. And if you really want to grow some watermelon, Dee, I'll send you extra seeds.
I don't. I really don't. I don't even like to eat watermelon, so it's not something that I need to grow.
Okay, well, the offer was there, listeners. The offer was there. Anyway,
it's okay.
You got all kinds of gardening stuff going there at your house too. What else have you got going?
So I've been researching native shrubs to replace my Japanese maples that got squashed during the October ice storm. And people don't understand when I say that. They go, oh, so a few limbs broke off your Japanese maples? No, they were sticks where a big limb fell from the oak tree and just tore off all the branches. It's just a stick. So I dug those out over the weekend, and I'm thinking about native shrubs to put in their place, but because I still have a bunch of Japanese maples left. And then I wrote an article about trees and which trees you should plant, and that'll come out next month. I need to go out and plant radishes and peas and lettuce today because I'm getting a little behind.
You are, because I'll be next week planting mine.
Yeah, but you have a range, Carol. You know this. You have a range.
I know.
I did start my seeds indoors for tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, nicotiana, marigold, because I'm growing that Phyllis marigold from Botanical Interests. I can't remember. Oh, feverfew. I'm going to grow feverfew this year because I just want to.
Very good.
And this week I'm going to start my herb seeds, which will mostly mean basil. And then I've also got to tend to my bees and see a garden coaching client today, and I've got 2 more this week. I'm very, very busy.
You sound very busy. I am also busy. But it's a good busy. It's gardening busy.
It's a happy busy.
Yay!
Yeah, it's a happy busy. It's that time of year when there's so much to do and not enough time to do it in.
Exactly. Well, let's do our quote, or we won't have time for this whole episode. Today is the day when bold kites fly, when cumulus clouds roar across the sky, when robins return, when children cheer, when light rain beckons spring to appear. Robert McCracken. That's a lovely one.
I like that one.
I do too.
I can just see a kite flying.
Yes. I love March.
I do too. I really love April more, but your March is my April.
Well, I love April and May too.
Wait a minute, I got that backwards. Your March would be my February. Why do you like March so much?
I don't know. It seems like it's pretty nice right now. I like any month that you can be out in the garden.
Me too.
Let's talk about our flower.
Okay.
So the flower this week is an understory tree, serviceberries.
And it's native.
It's native. Most of them are native. There are some Asian and Chinese. Take those off the list. We're not talking about those.
Yeah. We're only really talking about the native ones because those are what we want you to plant.
Yes. And the genus name is Amelanchier. 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 And it is a great understory tree. I have 3 in my backyard, and they're planted in something fancy. It's called a copse. And it's basically a thicket of trees. So
right, which comes from England, that term, because it's always in English detective stories.
Exactly. And so I planted 3 like in a triangle, or had 3 planted in like a triangle. And they're beautiful trees. And I can't think of anything wrong with them except one thing.
What?
Well, I don't want to get to that. I want to talk about how good they are.
Oh, well, you brought it up. Okay, so let's talk about how good they are. Aren't they also called Juneberries?
Juneberries. They're also called shadblow.
Shadblow. Mm-hmm.
Serviceberry, shadblow, juneberry. I think that's it.
The berries, you can eat them, right?
You can eat them. They are a little bit tart, and I think you need quite a bit of sugar. But I have heard of, and probably our friend Ellen Zakos has eaten serviceberries because she's the forager. And you can make a pie or
jam.
Jam.
I think serviceberry jam would be good. They're in the rose family, Rosaceae. Or Rosaceae. I'm not saying that right.
Rosaceae.
Rosaceae. I'd added another E to the end. Rosaceae.
You did.
And so they're like apples, right?
Yep.
Because apples are in that. There's a lot of things in the rose family. A lot of things. And we got most of our info from Clemson University. We're going to link to that. And they're grown a lot for pollinators, fruit for the birds. They have fantastic fall color. And the reason we thought about talking about them is I interviewed a horticulturist here named Dave Edwards for my tree article. And while I had him on the phone, I said, what should I plant to replace my Japanese maples? And he said, how about serviceberry? And I thought, yeah, maybe, or somewhere else, because I don't have one. And I'd like to have 2 or 3. So there are different varieties. They're a multi-stemmed tree. And the reason they're called serviceberry commonly, and I know this just from researching them in the past, there was some thought that their wood was used for crosses when people buried their dead after the long, cold winter. They usually buried them around the time the serviceberries bloomed. But see, we know that's kind of one of those weird common stories.
Yeah.
It might have some accuracy, but not some accuracy because it's really more like a shrub, and you wouldn't use that wood for the cross on your friend's grave. So
They'll get 12, 15 feet tall, so they're definitely not a shrub that's going to stay like, I think of shrubs that stay below 6 feet. This is definitely a multi-trunked tree.
Yeah, so it's a smallish tree, giant shrub.
Small tree. We can argue all day.
I'm not going to argue with you about
So
it.
some of the good varieties, there's Amelanchier canadensis, which is native. That's the downy serviceberry. And Standing Ovation is a selection that's been made because it's a little bit narrower. It only goes 4 to 5 feet wide and gets 12 to 15 feet tall. And that would be a great tree in a lot of good situations.
And the one that is grown here a lot is what is called apple serviceberry. It's a hybrid, and I can't say its name, but it's grandiflora, and it's autumn brilliance. And people grow that one here a lot in Oklahoma.
Yes. And we're going to link to that one on the Missouri Botanical Gardens website. Always a great source for plant information. They have a nice bit of information about Amelanchier, X grandiflora, autumn brilliance.
Amelanchier. I said
There,
it.
you did it.
Okay,
You did
and
it.
so the ones you want to avoid are the Asian ones, which are Amelanchier asiatica, and the other one is Chinese, and it is Seneca. And so don't plant those. Go ahead and plant the native. The native in fact, I was thinking about this, that if there is a native of something, you should almost always plant it over the Asian cultivar if you want to attract native pollinators. That's not to say
exactly
the Asian cultivars don't attract pollinators. Like my Ogon spireas, they attract pollinators. But sometimes with birds, especially, and fruit, sometimes Asian shrubs fruit too early, and then the birds eat the berries too early, and it's a long story. But if you want to read more about that, you can read more about it from, now I'm not going to be able to think of his name. He wrote Bringing Nature Home. We talk about him all the time.
Doug Tallamy.
Thank you, Doug Tallamy. See, this is what happens when Dee goes off notes. Anyway, that's one of the things he talks about in his book. I don't know if it's in Bringing Nature Home. I think it's in the other book that I read. So moving on, plant serviceberry if you got a spot.
Well, wait a minute. You want to hear the one bad thing?
Oh, yeah. What is the one bad thing?
Well, the serviceberry can be a messy tree when there's fruit drop for two reasons. The fruit can drop to the ground, and you can get a lot of birds, and then the birds are pooing on the ground. So it is not a great shrub to put next to a sidewalk or any place where you could walk and track all that stuff in. It is really not good for that location. But any place else.
Oh, yeah. And explain how you know this.
Because where I used to work, there was a big serviceberry by the front door walk. And people complained every June when those berries would start dropping that they were getting it all over their shoes, and it was all over the bench that they had that was a nice place to sit. They're always like, Carol, can we cut down that tree? And I'm like, no.
So here's the deal. Don't put a bench under a serviceberry tree.
Right. Yes.
And why would you plant one right next to a sidewalk? It's a big, fat tree. So I wouldn't do that. But, people do stuff like that all the time, put stuff in the wrong place. So if you've got a place in the corner of your backyard where you're not going to sit on a bench, it's a great tree.
Yes. All right, let's move on. We have a poem, Dee. It's called A Spike of Green. You want to read it?
Yep. A spike of green. When I went out, the sun was hot. It shone upon my flower pot. And there I saw a spike of green that no one else had ever seen. On other days, the things I see are mostly old, except for me. But this green spike, so new and small, had never yet been seen by all. That's Barbara Baker from All Day Long, compiled by Pamela Whitlock. I'm not sure where you found that, but it's cute.
Somebody sent it to me.
I think it sounds like a children's book.
It is probably from a children's book. I still like it.
It's darling. So, since you brought it up, we are talking about spikes of green for our vegetable.
That's right. That's why I picked it.
This is one I get asked about a lot. Good job.
Asparagus. Carol doesn't grow it. I shall now sit back and allow you to wax poetic about asparagus.
You know as much as I do about asparagus, even though you don't grow it. It's a perennial vegetable.
Yep.
Not unlike the one we talked about last week.
Rhubarb.
Which was rhubarb. And so asparagus is not hard to grow, but it does take some patience because you can't harvest it the first year. It also really likes sandy, deep loam, which in my part of the world you don't have unless you make a raised bed. It will also grow in other situations too, and it doesn't mind a little bit of clay. But here's the thing. If you're going to spend 15 years with a vegetable, which is the average time that this vegetable lives in your garden, 15 years.
It's a long time.
You need to prepare it a nice, fertile, sandy, deep, loamy space, which means 6 inches. It doesn't have to have that much more. The roots look like spiders, and it has a little crown on top of them, and you spread out those little spidery roots over the soil. Then you pile soil back up on top, and you just cover the crown.
Yep.
Okay, with about an inch, right? And I grew it for years and years and years, and I still get asparagus fern in my lower flower garden because there's still remnants of that asparagus bed over there. And I just let it grow because I think it's really pretty. Here's the hard thing about asparagus, at least where I live. It is really hard to keep Bermuda grass out of it. Other weeds are not as much of a problem. Yes, you do need to you can fertilize it with some nitrogen because it likes nitrogen, but that's after the first year because you've already prepared that nice space, right?
Right.
Bermuda grass loves to come in from the edges, and you don't ever want it to take hold of your asparagus bed because it's a nightmare to get out of. And I get more questions about Bermuda in asparagus beds than almost anything about asparagus. The other thing you need to know is that just decide where it's going to be because you got 15 years with this vegetable.
Exactly.
And you don't want to dig it up.
Choose carefully where you're going to put it. It's permanent. Not in the center of the vegetable garden. It's an edge plant.
I think it's an edge plant because it grows, 5 foot tall ferns, 4 to 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
And so you want those at the back, and they're actually quite beautiful. And you can mix it in with flowers. That's fine. In fact, I just saw someone the other day, and I said, why don't you plant Tithonia in front of your asparagus fern? Because once her asparagus is done, that asparagus fern will look great behind Tithonia because Tithonia has those rough leaves. And she kind of liked that idea. It likes full sun. The other thing you probably want to know is that it does attract asparagus beetles, and you'll have to rub their eggs off and, capture the beetles. And I'll be honest, that's kind of gross. It's not the grossest thing. Scale's grosser, but it's gross enough. And what else? You can't harvest it the first year. You can start harvesting in the second and third years, and you don't want to harvest any spears that are smaller than your little finger or a pencil.
Right.
So pick one that's bigger.
And here's the other thing, because with a 15-year lifespan and, you're kind of, I don't know, I say you're getting married to it, but you're committing to it long term. This is one plant that I would go and get a named variety from a good place. And so,
oh yeah, definitely.
Stark Brothers has 3. They have Jersey Night Giant, Mary Washington, and then a purple one called Purple Passion. So get a named variety so that you've got one that's good.
Okay, so I've grown all of those. I've grown Mary Washington's, I think, the oldest. Jersey Night and Purple Passion, I think, are newer cultivars. But I'm just saying that off the top of my head. But I've grown them all. Purple Passion's really pretty, like most purple vegetables, other than carrots and potatoes. It does turn green when you cook it. People don't always know that, and I forget that they don't know that. And then if you want to know more about asparagus than what we've already told you, we're gonna refer you to Oklahoma State University's fact sheet, and we're linking to it in our notes.
All right, we'll link to Stark Brothers where they have those 3 varieties as well. All right, moving right along, Dee.
Yep.
Here's the next quote. Dear March, come in. How glad I am. I hoped for you before. Put down your hat. You must have walked. How out of breath you are. And that is an Emily Dickinson poem.
Yep, I found that one. And it made me laugh.
You did.
I thought of March. That is like what March feels like. And that's what we all feel like when March gets here. Is come on in. At least we're getting closer to spring.
Exactly. So on the bookshelf this week, and I don't know if you got a copy of this, Dee, but
I haven't received it yet. I know that Jan was going to send me a copy, but I don't have it yet. So you're going to talk about it this week.
Okay. This one is Floratopia, 110 Flower Garden Ideas for Your Yard, Patio, or Balcony by Jan Johnson. And Jan is a garden designer in New York, has her own business and everything. This is actually her 4th book. She has written Heaven is a Garden, which I have, The Spirit of Stone,
Me too.
which I have,
Mm-hmm.
and Gardentopia, which I do not think that I have.
I don't have that one. I love The Spirit of Stone, and I like Heaven is a Garden too. They're both really good books. She's a good writer.
She is a good writer. And so this book is really nice. It's got 6 theme chapters, and within each chapter, there's ideas, pictures, and the text is such that you can just kind of open it to anywhere and read something, and you don't have to kind of read it from beginning to end. You can just kind of cherry pick, which is great. She has tons of good plant lists. So, like one of the titles, I'm sorry, not titles. One of the chapters is about flowers and pots and planters. And she talks about some design ideas about how to plant them. And some of the plants that you might use in containers that maybe are a little bit different, some window box inspirations, the art of watering containers, which you're all about that. The idea of lifting the containers up out of the ground so that you can see the plants better. So putting them up on
I see.
bench. Putting them more at eye level, I guess. Chapters like the enduring popularity of blue planters, and then she's got all these pictures of gorgeous blue planters. And a blue planter really sets off a lot of flower colors.
It really does, because it's like the sky. And I have blue planters. I collected cobalt blue glazed planters for years, and I love them. I think they're beautiful.
They are. And then other chapters are flower garden planting tips, flower garden design tips and green thoughts, themes for flower gardens, a few choice perennial flowers to try, and a selection of favorite annual flowers. So this is a good idea book, Dee.
That makes sense, since she's a garden designer.
It is. And so, but it's a dangerous book for people like you and I, because you know how just the suggestion of something and we're like off on a tangent, it's like, oh yeah, I got to do that. Oh yeah, I had forgotten about this plant. I need some of that in my garden. Oh yeah, this too. And so you kind of like, wait a minute. Got to get control of yourself, Carol.
You kind of say, calm down.
Calm down. But I really enjoy this book. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but it's just got a ton of good bite-sized information. Maybe you're going to sit down at lunch and look at a book for a little bit. This would be a great book to open up and read anywhere. So it's staying here, Dee. I hope you get your copy soon.
I do too. I think that would be really fun to read. It sounds like good times.
It is. And Jan is a great photographer. I think I might be wrong, but I think she did most of the
I think
pictures.
she took our photos.
Yeah, she did. I mean, she's just a sweet person. We have both met her. Sweet person.
Yes.
So we recommend that. Floratopia, 110 Flower Garden Ideas for Your Yard, Patio, or Balcony by Jan Johnson.
Yeah, if you're into flower gardens, and who isn't really?
Exactly.
Well, some people.
I can't imagine who's not into flower gardens of some sort.
Me neither, because I love them. And, that's how you attract pollinators to your yard.
Exactly. So anyway, that's the book. So let's move on to the dirt. And I showed you something, and you're like, I need that. And we're like,
yeah, but try getting it. They're totally sold out.
So we should tell people that what it is the Lego Corporation has come up with a botanical collection. And there is a Lego set to build a bonsai tree. And it comes with green Legos for leaves. And it also has like pink, white ones for flowers. So you can take your tree and make it flower by changing out the Legos. And they talked about how therapeutic it is to just kind of play with these trees and bend them to your will. And we both now want Lego sets of botanical collections. Mm-hmm. The other one that they have, which is like cut flowers of different kinds that are all like Lego sets.
It's cute.
Very cute.
Yeah. So
we're going to link to the Lego page because these are out of stock everywhere. And
you can't find them anywhere.
No. And
I really do want that bonsai tree.
I do. And I don't know why. I thought my Lego days, I thought I left them when I was about 10 years old, but I guess not.
It's so cute. It really is. And you guys are going to have to click on it from our show notes and go see it because it's just really cute. And not only are these botanically themed, the bonsai's leaves utilize plant-based plastic elements, and they're made from sustainably sourced sugarcane, which is crazy cool, right?
It is.
They're going to try to make Legos sustainable by 2030, which is good because I'm a parent of 4 kids, and I can tell you I still have tremendous numbers of Lego sets because my kids were into them big time. And I don't know, they're just so cute. These are cute. It even has little Lego, I just now noticed this. It has Lego gravel, Carol, around the tree.
I'm telling you, Lego has come a long way from when I was a kid, which is like 50 years ago. And we should warn people, before you click on this and have this extreme desire to get this thing.
Good luck.
The Lego price on it is $50.
Yeah, I don't care.
And if you go out to the big A, people want like $90.
Yeah, because they knew it was going to sell out and they all bought it. And so now you can't, I'm not paying $90 for a fake bonsai tree, but it sure is cute.
But you know, if I think about how many bonsai trees I've purchased and killed, $50 doesn't seem bad for one that's going to be around forever.
Well, and the thing I love about it is I think bonsai is really hard to do and hard to keep watered, and I've done it, but it's hard. So this one you don't have to water, and I normally don't like plastic flowers, but these are really cute. So you guys have just got to go see them.
They are. I signed up to get an email when they're back in stock.
And as soon as they're back in stock, Carol is going to text me so I can run over and buy them too, because she's my friend.
Okay, that is exactly what I am going to do, apparently.
Thank you. Well, after you buy yours.
Of course. Of course. Anyway, we have reached the end of the show nearly, and it's time to talk about our garden commissions. And Dee, you wrote nothing down in this part of the notes. You are freewheeling now, girl.
I just have to keep planting seeds outside, and because I want some radishes and I want some lettuce and I want some onions. So I've got to do that. And on the onions, I've ordered onion sets. They aren't here yet. And then, what else am I going to do? Oh, I already said it in the beginning. I'm going to pot up my herb seeds indoors.
I don't know. You're kind of setting your bar pretty low for yourself.
Really? I'm really busy. More. I mean, I sprayed scale off all of my citrus trees last week. That was disgusting. So,
and
you know.
You didn't tell us, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did just now. That's all I got. Go.
Okay. So this week, I'm going to pot up the pansies that I bought. And then I'm going to go back to the greenhouse. I'm going to buy alyssum and snapdragons, and I'm going to plant those at the ends of the vegetable garden beds. And I'm actually going to figure out a plan for my vegetable garden bed because I think that my seed list is bigger than my garden. So I've got this idea this year that I'm really going to cram stuff in. I usually space stuff out pretty well in the vegetable garden. But I thought this year I'm going to cram it all in. I'm just going to make stuff grow in tighter spaces so I can grow more.
I think that's smart. Who cares? I mean, don't cram it in too much, but you know how to space it. You don't have to set it up according to the spacing from the, seed packet totally. So
right. So I'm going to cram stuff in a little bit. So I'm going to work on an actual plan. I'm also going to go out and continue to keep deadheading stuff and then not deadheading, I guess, but cutting back old foliage and sort of spiffing things up. Because before we know it, it'll be March the 17th, which is my pea planting day.
And March 17th is when I plant my potatoes for everybody here. Also, I have been out in my back garden and I have almost got, I'd say half of it cleaned up, which is huge by this time. So I'm doing okay. And everybody here, I'm getting ready to send out, I'm going to publish a post today. And it will be other things you should do in March, which I'm also doing. So I can't talk about everything I'm doing. I'm too busy, girl.
That's what you keep saying. I tell you what, people who say they're too busy. Anyway.
Whatever.
We want to thank you for listening to The Garden Angelist. If you like our podcast, please tell your friends about us. Also hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode.
And if you listen to Apple Podcasts, we'd love a 5-star review. It helps us get noticed by others. Could you also share our podcast with your friends? Because word of mouth is still the best way to get the word out there.
Yes, and be sure and check out our show notes for links for more information about today's topics, plus links to our own websites. And if you want to help support us, use those affiliate links. If you buy something after clicking through on them, we earn a small commission and it costs you nothing.
It was lovely to chat with all of you over the garden gate today. Bye until next week.
Bye, everybody.